My brother used his best man speech to publicly humiliate me, and everyone laughed and supported him. Now I'm starting to think family doesn't mean anything at all. Posted by you/Dethangel 2010. My youngest brother, let's call him Phil, got married today, and the ceremony was absolutely beautiful. His bride was stunning, and everything was great and well done. His best man was our other brother, who I'll call Jack. My wife and I weren't part of the wedding party, which is fair since we didn't ask them to be in ours 5 years ago. After the ceremony, we took pictures and attended the cocktail hour. It was nice to catch up with some out-of-town family and old family friends. Jack and I were talking about the day they all had. It was very eventful for my now sister-in-law, but that's another story, and then everyone was called inside for the reception. We went in and had dinner. My wife and I were starting to get a little tired, but I told her I really wanted to hear Jack's best man speech, so we agreed to wait. I wish we hadn't. Jack went up, introduced himself, and started his speech. Well, about 34 years ago, Mom and Dad got married and decided to try for kids, and they started with the prototype, my older brother. I should have known where this was going. He continued, they realized that, hey, they could do better, so they got it right the second time, me. Mr. Perfect. And I was. Our grandfather would call me Crusher because I would beat up on my older brother as a toddler. We were always opposites and didn't really get along a whole lot. So Mom and Dad decided they needed someone to help him out, and so they had this guy. Now when he came around, I was like, yeah, he seems alright. So growing up, we terrorized my older brother. Good times. He continued his speech, but I was kinda checked out at that point. I was, and still am, really upset about it because I have always been the butt of all the jokes in my family, my brothers, my cousins, even my parents. I'm the different one. I'm very emotional and empathetic, which is both a blessing and a curse. I'm overweight, they're both athletes, Phil actually works for an NHL team. I enjoy D&D, reading, and being a nerd. They like sports and outdoor activities. You get the idea. I got up, and my wife went to the bathroom before we decided to leave. Jack found me and said, "You good?" I meant to say at the beginning of my speech that I apologize because my older brother is probably going to get upset. I just looked at him and said, "You're good, but I would have appreciated a heads up that that's what you were gonna do." He looked at me and just said, "If I did that, I wouldn't have gotten the genuine reaction." I just walked away, met my wife, and we left. I asked her, "Am I crazy? Was his best man speech really just a ton of shots at me?" She said, "It seems like he was trying to be funny, but not everything landed. And yes, you were the butt of his jokes." I drove home pretty much in silence. I'm tired of always being the butt of all the family jokes. We're supposed to have lunch with extended family tomorrow, and the only reason I'm going is that I only see these family members maybe once a year. I don't want to see Jack or really anyone else from my immediate family. Do I have a right to be upset, or am I being overly sensitive? Commenter. Here's the real deal. His parting remarks to you as you were leaving show he meant to hurt you. He wanted that hurt reaction. He literally said it. Translation, I kind of like you, but I must have the stage, and if my moment in the spotlight is at your expense, I'm going to make it count. He's the type of person whose favorite motto should be, "You'll get over it." Update 2 days later. Before I talk about the lunch, I'll share what happened to the bridal party, as it becomes relevant to why Phil didn't come. The bridal party was hit by a pickup truck right outside the venue. The truck was going 55, and the girls were stopped. Both vehicles were totaled, but they were adamant about going on with the ceremony and getting checked out later. So, Phil took his wife to the hospital today. Thankfully, there were no major injuries. Now, about the lunch. My wife sat down with the family, and we were all chatting. At one point, my uncle said, "Phil's speech was very sweet. I couldn't have given that without crying." My mom added, "Yeah, he had something prepared because he practiced it with me, and he changed it after the wreck." Jack then piped up, "Hey, I had a good speech too." My dad just said, "It was a good speech. It was all about op." I got angry and said, I thought it was weird that it was so focused on someone who wasn't even involved in the wedding. Both he and my dad got quiet and then just continued their conversations with the people next to them. I avoided eye contact with Jack, and we left about 15 minutes later. My wife and I went home and just relaxed since we're finally getting a break from our students. We teach upper elementary. Jack tried to call me. Once. I let it ring, and he didn't leave a voicemail. Then, about an hour later, my grandma called to ask how lunch was, and she could tell I was upset from my voice. When she asked what was wrong, I told her I was upset with Jack. She said, "I don't think your brother meant it," and I replied, "Then why bring it up?" This happens all the time. And then everyone wonders why my wife and I don't come around as often or why we leave early at events. I'm tired of it. She stayed calm and said, "Well, your brother can't give a speech, and he thinks he's funny, but he can't make jokes without insulting someone. Have you told him and your parents how you feel?" I said I had and that it hasn't changed for years. She just said, "Y'all are gonna have to work this out." I told her I didn't want to talk to him right now, and she said, "I know, I understand. You and I are just the afterthoughts, kid. Grandma and I are two peas in a pod and very similar." So, that's where we're at. Thank you for the comments and the DMs. Second update 1 day later. Jack tried to gaslight me. I let things settle for a few days and decided I was in a good headspace to send him a text. Hey, I've seen your missed calls, and I'm not ready to have a conversation right now. I need you to know that you really hurt me on Saturday. Your speech was nothing but jabs at me for laughs in front of friends and family. Then, telling me that you didn't give me a heads up because you wanted a genuine reaction made me feel even worse. I've been upset all weekend about this because nothing that was said felt like it was about Phil and his new wife, but instead about taking shots at me growing up, and then getting Phil to join in. I told you we were good at the reception because I wasn't going to make a scene. They already had a rough day. But for you and Dad to bring it up again on Sunday at lunch, and for Dad to even admit the speech was all about me, brought the hurt back to the surface, and I couldn't stay quiet. You and Phil are my brothers, and I will always love you both. Right now, though, I can't have a conversation with you while I'm this hurt. I can be civil and cordial at family gatherings, but nothing more. These jabs and prods at my expense have gone on too long, and they continue to drive a wedge between us. I'm asking for 2 things. 1, please stop with the teasing and jokes at my expense. 2, give me some time to cool off from this. Time will help mend things, but right now, I'm not ready for that conversation. I'll see you on Thursday. Love you. He responded a few hours later. I've talked to a bunch of people about this already, and everyone I talked to said there was nothing wrong with my speech and I didn't say anything to degrade you or your character. I think you took everything I said way out of context and are overthinking everything. I was also told the best man speech is supposed to be a joke and never taken seriously. Plus, I've been told by many people that they've heard similar speeches. Mom and Dad wanted a child, then they had me, the perfect child, and the third one was a complete accident. Nothing I said was hurtful or demeaning. Also, why is it that if I said the same thing but used our cousin's name, or someone else, then the speech would be fine? That tells me you think there's a lot of truth to it and you don't know how to just have a laugh. Growing up, I always hated that stupid nickname, Crusher, and you know that. What was said that was so hurtful exactly? And Dad never said the speech was about you. I was angry, and my wife could see I was on the verge of tears. I called my grandma and asked to go to her house to talk. When I got there, she said, "So, what's up, kid? You know, Jack feels really bad about this situation. He was talking to me about it last night." I replied, "Really? Because that's not what this text says." I read her the conversation, and she just said, "He's a jerk who doesn't want to admit he's wrong." We talked for a little while longer, and she said, "You are not overreacting here. If this was a one-time thing, I'd say you are. But you've been putting up with this stuff your whole life." We finished talking, I helped her fix her phone to car connection, and I went home, not feeling better, but feeling validated. A few hours later, Phil called. We were checking in on how his wife was doing, and she said, "Like I got hit by a truck." Lol, I'm glad she can kind of laugh about it. Then Phil said, "We actually wanted to check on you and see how you were doing. We noticed you guys left at some point without saying goodbye." I apologized and told him no, I wasn't okay. I read him and his wife the text messages, and his wife said, that's BS. We talked yesterday, and I ripped into him. His speech was not appropriate, and you were definitely targeted. Phil added, "At first, I didn't see a problem, but when the two of us drove home and talked, I could see how it could have been taken. We're both really sorry that was done at your expense." We talked a little longer, and his wife said, "We've got your back on this one. Jack's a bully, and I get why you and your wife don't come around as often to be around that. Just know that I don't give a crap what his opinion is. A lot of the time, when you guys leave, I call him out on his BS that he says to and about you." Phil echoed her, and we said goodbye. We'll see each other Thursday for Thanksgiving.